still lying face down somewhere in the death zone, and I heard its question.
Which was?
You would refuse my gift.
Oh.
Go on.
SCP-1529, the King of the Mountain. You ever played that game when you were little? When you got on top of the bed or a bunch of pillars or some boxes or something, and other kids tried to get to you and you had to keep them from knocking you off, and their job was to knock you off so they could be the king of the mountain. It's actually kind of sexist when you think about it, because if girls played it, it would be queen of the mountain, right? It doesn't really matter at this point. It's still the name of the game, and it's the SCP that we're reacting to today. Supposedly there's an anomaly that lives at the top or near the top of Mount Everest, that's a pretty dangerous area, right? I've never climbed any mountains in real life. First of all, it's way too cold up here. To let you know how unaccustomed to cold I am, because I live in South Louisiana, it was a little cold in the house this morning, and I ate gumbo for breakfast. Not a lot, not a real crazy amount, but it was enough to warm my soul, and it felt good. And this SCP, the whole video looks cold, so grab your hoodies and let's react to it. Make sure to head on over to SCP Animated's channel, guys. Hit subscribe, hit the notification bell there, and if you like reaction videos, make sure to subscribe to this channel as well. Let's get into the animation. Death Zone, Mount Everest. I didn't see the temperature, but pretty sure it's cold. And it looks like she's injured and frozen to death. Oh no. Oh, that's the SCP. It kind of reminds me of... there was a Scooby-Doo ghost like this. I can't remember exactly which one. He's coming though. Uh-oh. Himalayan monitoring facility. 16,900 feet. 75 kilometers from Mount Everest. All right. Are they riding up to Everest right now? The research? Some of our favorite characters, maybe? Oh, hell yeah!
All right, everybody.
Dr. Buck?
Hopefully I'm going to get you folks there as fast as possible so we can avoid this winter storm rolling in, but it's going to be
Agent
close.
Green?
I'll keep you posted.
From the 3D specs. And Gustav! Remember the agent in the 3D specs? That didn't want the guy on
Well,
death
you
row?
two ain't very fun passengers.
Some of us enjoy the silence, Agent Green.
Dr. Buck
Well, I
looking
don't.
sharp, man.
And we got a long flight ahead of us, so we might as well get to know each other a little better.
Yeah, why not?
I'll pass.
Fine. But you're making it very difficult to fall in love with you.
Wow. Oh!
How
Got
about
that
you,
little
big
smirk.
guy? I don't think we've met before.
I'm a special consultant.
Oh! That is not
Oh, really?
Gustav.
You some kind of climbing expert?
Something like that.
I didn't get a good look at him
Agent
at first.
Green, this is Al. He's one of the very few people in this world that have not only survived climbing Mount Everest, but also coming face to face with SCP-1529.
Wow.
So you went toe-to-toe with the king of the mountain, huh?
Yeah.
He's become invaluable in the Foundation's efforts to track and contain SCP-1529.
And contain.
I bet. He's got first-hand experience. So, tell us the story.
So containing something to the most dangerous spot in the world can't be very hard, right? Like, there's not too much exposure. There was one victim. We just saw it at the beginning, but there's not a real lot of traffic that goes up there, you know what I mean? It's not a real popular area to visit. So whatever this SCP does, it can't be too bad, can it?
Well,
L, do not feel obligated to tell Agent Green here anything.
No, it's fine, Doctor. What exactly do you want to know?
Tell me what happened when you first encountered the creature.
It couldn't have been more than 10 minutes after I left the summit, about 1300. That's the hardest part of the climb. You've reached the top and you're exhilarated and proud of yourself.
For
And
sure.
then you realize you've just done the most difficult thing you've ever done in your life. And you have to do it all over again, right now, backwards, or you'll end up like the Napping Man.
The napping man.
It's a boarding near a ridge on the south side of the mountain. Any expedition on traveling that way passes it. It's a real wake-up call for all the climbers with a god complex that think they're invincible.
Oh.
Anyways, we were starting our descent. The others were 5 or 6 meters ahead of me, I been delayed a moment to adjust my hood. That's when I saw it come over the ridge.
Wow.
What was your reaction when you first saw it?
Surprised, to say the least. We hadn't been told there was anyone else climbing to the top that day. I thought he must have come over from the other side.
That has to be a weird deal too. Like when you think that you're alone, but you see somebody else in whatever situation, whether it's a strange place or whatever, maybe in the woods at night. Think about that. If you're in a remote area and you see somebody else, that has to be a little unnerving, especially at a place like this.
Or gotten left behind by his mates. I shouted and waved my hands in the air to try and get his attention.
What happened when you got its attention?
He looked right at me, and that's when it started. I suddenly felt happy. Instant relief.
Okay.
It was like right away, all the pain and the soreness and the chill was gone. I didn't have blisters on my feet, and I could feel the tip of my nose again.
Wow.
It was like I was back at home, kicking up my feet by the fireplace, like I could forget all my worries.
Does this actually point to maybe not being able to properly protect yourself from the cold if you feel this? You know, if you feel this way and you know like there's very, very, very dangerous temperatures around you, but you forget about all that, what's to stop you from properly protecting yourself or making sure that your body stays warm before you actually get too cold?
And enjoy a well-deserved rest, but it didn't feel right.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of paradoxical undressing? It's when your body starts to cool down, like really cool down, and your blood vessels dilate, and you start to feel like you're warming up. So you start tearing your clothes off because you feel like you're burning up and you need to cool off. And the next thing anyone knows, you're naked and frozen to death, curled up in a snowbank. I had a
never
mate who went that way in '98.
So you believed you were imagining it?
Right, so I tried to shrug it off.
Right.
But I couldn't take my eyes off the man who'd started climbing up towards me.
Okay.
And that's when it all went to hell.
You really don't need to go any further if it's going to upset you, Al.
I'm not upsetting him. Am I upsetting you?
No.
See, he's fine. What happened next?
Right away, all that warmth and comfort was gone. Suddenly, I felt cold. Colder than I'd ever been before.
All right.
Colder than I had a right to be. Couldn't feel my fingers or my face. My lips felt cracked and frozen.
Wow.
I tried to breathe and it was like my lungs were full of water. My legs cramped up and next thing I knew I was down. I tried to yell out for help, but all that came out was a whisper. I looked up and that thing was still coming.
So that's what it does.
How long did it take to reach you?
An hour maybe? Not sure. I couldn't see my watch and I don't think I could have made sense of it anyway.
Right.
I managed to get my arms on the ground, but I couldn't push myself to my feet. It was getting to the point that even if I could right myself, I wouldn't be able to make it back to camp before nightfall.
Right.
I was starting to think I wasn't making it off the mountain at all. But what worried me more was the man. The closer he got to me, I started to feel something in the back of my head. Something primal, menacing, and above all, hateful.
Uh-oh.
And what happened when he got to you?
He grabbed me by the shoulders and pulled me up to face it. I was looking right into his goggles. I could see things in them.
See things.
Well, not see them so much. More like feel them. Images and emotions in the back of my mind. Rage and joy and confusion.
Weird.
What do you mean, confusion?
I don't know. I don't think it was used to people resisting it, so it asked me a question.
Oh.
It spoke. I've never read about SCP-1529 being verbal.
It didn't speak with words so much. I could hear it,
It's like
but not with my
telepathically.
ears. I saw images of people sitting back in hot tubs, lying by a crackling fire, sunning themselves on the beach. Warm, happy people.
His memories, maybe? The SCP's memories?
But I knew their faces. There were
Oh.
faces I'd seen in books and in pictures, and people I'd seen on the way up the mountain who I hadn't seen on the way down.
Oh.
People still lying face down somewhere in the death zone. And I heard its question.
Which was?
You would refuse my gift.
Oh.
Go on.
So it was trying to give him that warm feeling at first, and then it's asking why it would refuse to give, because he was trying to make it feel good, but now he's freezing. I don't all the way get it yet.
I could barely make sense of anything that was going on.
Right.
But I knew that this thing in front of me was a bigger threat than any storm or any snowdrift.
Of course.
Moving my lips was harder than anything I've ever done. But I did. And I told it. Yes.
He
How do you
refused it.
respond?
I saw more images. Images of those same people lying in the snow, already half dead.
Yeah.
It didn't say anything to me in words so much, but it was angry at me. It was offended, outraged, shocked. It was trying to tell me I'd been ungrateful. I asked it, why are you doing this?
And what did it say?
It mocked me. It showed me another one of its victims, probably the first one. It was a face I recognized from old climbing journals, but I'd never seen it in that kind of detail before, or in that condition. He was on his stomach, weak, frostbitten, dying. He was waving and hollering at the thing as I watched it approach from its own perspective. It made me watch every second until it was done. I think watching it was worse than living it would have been.
Dang.
What happened next?
I don't know about that though.
It was holding me up,
Whoa!
so I had just enough strength to ball up my fist. I punched it.
There you
hard as
go.
I could. Every last ounce of strength I had, right in the goggles. They cracked. I could see what was behind them.
What was it?
And what was that?
Gonna need everybody to buckle up
Dang
back
it!
there. We're getting close to base camp, and it's gonna be a bumpy ride.
What was behind the goggles, El?
Classified information, Agent Green.
But Dr. Buck, I would hate for there to be any secrets between us.
Yeah, she's right.
He's flirting
That's
hard.
a good place to stop for now.
He's flirting hard.
All right, buddy. But I'm gonna get it out of you one of these days.
Uh-huh. I want to know too. There he is at the top. Show us what's behind your goggles, sucker. You know what the most notable thing about this whole video was? How Dr. Buck liked Agent Green flirting with her. I think that's hilarious. As cold and emotionless as she seems a lot of the times, we've been seeing her soft spots lately, and that's cool. I want to read a little bit more about 1529. So it says here, if human climbers ascend past 8,000 meter mark while SCP-1529 is active, it will attempt to make its way towards them and interpose itself between them and the summit or camp. It seems to prefer to target solo climbers or climbers that are significantly ahead or behind of the rest of the group. And when it gets in close range with the climber, it will give basically a very warm and comfortable feeling, and they'll be enticed to sit down and relax. Once the climber stops moving, SCP-1529 will close range with the climber, and the death from hypothermia will occur within 1 to 2 hours of making eye contact with it. That's crazy, man. They also, after death, they have an extremely accelerated rate of decay, and after several hours or days, bodies will become rotted and mummified, comparable to bodies that have lain exposed on the mountain for several decades. Crazy, man. So it's like the siren of the mountain. It lures people in with this false sense of warmth and basically kills them with hypothermia. What a crazy SCP. You know, I said it earlier, I'm not a big fan of cold weather. They were talking about how cold he felt, and I've never gotten frostbite or anything, but I've been very, very cold before. My dad and I used to duck hunt a long time ago. Well, my dad still duck hunts. I used to duck hunt with my dad a long time ago. And there was quite a few areas that we went that we needed very high boots called hip boots or waders. Well, if you ever were very, very cold, and in Louisiana, very cold is usually in the 20-degree area, okay? It's so humid and stuff. It's 20 degrees Fahrenheit in Louisiana is very, very cold. If you get wet at any point. It's very, very hard to recover from that. You basically need to leave if you get wet enough. So we were walking around in the marsh looking for, well, trying to get to a spot to hunt ducks. To hunt ducks, you kind of got to put down decoys for them to light in and shoot when they get close enough, right? Well, we were looking around for a spot to do that, and I stepped in water that was a little bit deeper than my hip boots, meaning that a little bit of water got into my boots and got to my feet. Well, 20-degree weather to a young boy like me and wet feet, it was getting pretty bad pretty fast. I was extremely cold, and I was pretty much crying. My dad stopped everything, stopped the hunt. The hunt was canceled at that point. Well, we ended up getting out of the woods, but to warm my feet, he stopped and built a fire for me. And he took my boots off and made sure that my feet dried and warmed them up with his hands and his coat, his dry clothes. And we got out of the woods safely without any damage to my feet. I don't know if I would have gotten frostbite or anything, but I was pretty miserable. And for him to do that was really, really awesome. When I think about that memory, man, it kind of makes me like, kind of hits me in the feels, you know? I hope you guys really enjoyed this animation, guys. SCP animated, Tales from the Foundation, always an awesome animation. Make sure to follow him right there, as well as some other videos that are reacted to him from here. Thanks so much for watching. As always, this is Zueljin signing off, and we'll see you next time.